Day one in the Neches Valley, or the Neches River WMA hunt. I am headed in for an afternoon set. Unfortunately, I have managed to leave my main camera at home, so we're going to be working off of the GoPro and the iPhone. So, got the pack packed, bicycle ready to get after it. We're going to take the long way around to the spots we scouted. We talked to the local game warden. He pointed out a few spots where he saw some persimmons and some bedding areas, and we will see how that goes. Well, had a little accident this morning and ran off and left the camera. And what you know, walk in, set up, and something just fell in the river over there. So walk in, set up, and a group of does come out perfect, give me an 18-yard shot, and I just can't help myself. So really wanted to wait and try to get it on camera, but I also wanted to kill a doe in an area that wasn't too hard to pack out before I started hunting a little further in to try to kill a buck. So got to the camera, getting all my gear, my bigger pack, knives and everything, and we're gonna go in and pack out this doe and get her on ice. And at the very least, we've gone through the entire process of packing one out on this property, because the areas that I have scouted to hunt a buck is about 3 times as far in. So I'll make sure I am where I can get it done. What are you doing, Pawpaw?
Hey, Ronnie. Look around the house.
Well, I am between Jacksonville and Palestine, out here on the Neches River.
Really?
Yeah.
What are you catching then?
White-tailed deer.
Oh. Did you shoot one?
Yeah, I drew a tag out here for the Neches wildlife management area, and I walked in and killed a doe this morning with my bow.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Well, you didn't shoot no big buck though, huh?
Not yet. I got the rest of the week to try to get that down. You want some deer meat?
Not very much.
A little bit?
Yeah.
All right. Well, doe is down. So, there's a shot. That's where it went in. Already been here a minute to get my tag on her. That is the exit. And they typically don't run very far when you shoot them right through there. So I got my bigger pack there, hiked out, brought it back in, dumped the load. Going to quarter her up and hike her out. So the hunting is done and the work begins. You can see there's the 2 shoulders, there's the 2 hams, skin on. Let's see, lay them on the grass. Now they're loose. Take a piece of paracord and I can hang them up, skin them out, trim them down, throw them in the pack. Or if you have help, throw everything else in the head and the pack, and you can just take the legs and throw them over your shoulder, haul them out. All right, well, I got the deer quartered up in the pack, quite a bit heavier than I was hoping for, but anyway, I wanted to show, since I didn't have the camera with me this morning, what I was looking at. So this is the tree, actually, that pine tree there is the one I was in my saddle. This is kind of the main road you walk down, and I hadn't seen this area. I knew this was area was marked as a trail on this WMA I'm hunting. There was a off in this direction, and I haven't gone over there because I don't want to disturb it. I could probably put up a snapshot of the map. There is what looks like an oxbow, and I had a feeling there was likely something in there that beds. So, generally when you're hunting a river bottom system, if you have an oxbow, you can assume that that's going to be a hot spot. So I was looking for something that have a cut off of it. There's a lot of cover that way, this direction, and there's some private land, and they have some big open fields, as well as some feeders. My understanding is from the game warden over in that direction, it's a pretty good ways over there. And so when I was walking up in the evening, I was able to see just with my red light that this opening here, and I could kind of see it on the map. This pine tree, when I got over here, I noticed this cut goes back up in here, and it had what looks like some trails. I could barely tell it now, and the light, you know, and the red light before sun come up, but this looked like it was going to be a trail. So I climbed up in the tree. My hope was to get where I could shoot anything coming out of that cut and back to here. Unfortunately, I probably would have struggled to shoot that direction. I could shoot in that direction from the way I was set up. I was considering making a minor adjustment once daylight got a little better and I could kind of see a little better where I was at. But it wasn't too long after sun came up, I started hearing what sounded like deer moving through, and ultimately they did. Back this way, they actually came out of this thicker brush and cut across this little finger here, and that deer was standing right on that trail. And I was very easily able to draw and get a shot. She was standing right over here, probably about 18 yards. So actually came out here, and I don't know if one of the deer caught me moving, but she kind of jumped a little bit as I was drawing and was standing right here. My arrow was actually buried in this sand right here. So that shot, according to Onyx, it's about 78 yards how far she ran. So it worked. I'd never walked this trail down this road before this morning. But been able to pack in, having a little idea from looking at a map, picking a spot where it looks like there's going to be deer moving through there. Sure enough, if there's deer there, and move through it. So now the hard part, the hike out with the deer on your back, or at least the meat from the deer. It's getting there, about halfway back. It's definitely a wake-up call if I'm gonna get back in the elk woods. Alright, a little later than I wanted. It's about 4 o'clock. A little after. Hiking in for evening sit. Got the dough packed up, got some things reorganized in the truck. If you look at it, it's probably less organized than it was, but I needed to find some stuff and redo my pack. Avoid the issues of last night and being too heavy. So, going past where I killed the doe a ways, try to find a tree that's, there's a couple trees that got marked. One's an oak tree that's supposed to be producing, and one's a persimmon tree. With the direction the wind's going, I think if I set up northwest of the persimmon tree, if I can find a set, I have a good chances. East of there, there's some bedding. This is provided by the local forest ranger, so should be an ideal set for the wind. I found this cut. I found the persimmon tree, but it wasn't producing. But I found this natural cut down here. It's got some thick stuff. There's some oaks. I won't be able to get up too terribly high, but I'm gonna get up in that and just sit and watch and observe, see if anything comes down through here. Alright, I'm up in the tree. It took longer than I thought. Basically, this is my only area to observe. It's Sunday afternoon, about 2:30. I'm hiking in checking a couple spots on the way and coming in from a different direction than I have been going. Sorry, because the wind is just staying constantly out of the south, so I'm trying to approach from the north. So I just found a pretty good looking spot for pigs and probably some deer. Really close to the border though, so still gonna continue hiking in. So I was hiking. I found a spot. I think I'm gonna set up nearby. There's a rub there, 2 or 3 rubs in there, and one over there. This area seems like it's pretty heavily used. This area is real thick right in here, and then it opens up a more open bottom. There's no deer stand right over there. I'll get some video of it in a minute. Go back and see why years ago they had to put one here. So this is probably where I'm gonna focus for a minute. See if I can find a good trail going into this thicker brush. See if I can find a way to set up on it. Alright, I'm up in this tree. We are not too far from that rub line. One of the rubs down there. There's several more in there. Some older rubs there. Hopefully something's gonna come out. It's pretty thick in areas in there. And this is right on where I'm set up, is right on the edge where it's thicker and kind of a more open bottom. Behind me is a high water area where everything's kind of dead, swampy, but it's all dried out right now. So there's another finger of high spot with grass, but it's real narrow. There's some evidence that some deer run through there, so anything runs through there is liable to catch my wind, because wind right now is blowing out of this area. But I'm hoping with all the sign of all the rubs and trails coming in and out of this thicker area, the wind blowing out this way, hopefully they'll get a chance to, something will come out of the brush and work this edge. So all we can do is see. Not a lot to go on other than trails and rubs, so climb up in a tree. Alright, it's Tuesday morning. Went and sat at just a oak flat saw one little doe cross. One area I wanted to scout looked like it might have been a bedding area and had some trails leading to it. Wound up having several rubs all up and down that trail, and that trail seems to be pretty heavily used from the bedding area to private. I actually got to the bedding area and pushed the deer off of it. So circled around looking for going down this road looking for another area. I wanted to make a big old loop. I'm going to avoid that bedding area for the moment. I'll try to come up with a plan for the wind. The problem is the wind's primarily out southwest. I'm primarily parking on the south. It's on the south end of the property, and the trail runs southwest by, or northwest by southeast. So you either have to approach, the deer are bedded with their currently on the edge of some thick cover facing the wind, and so you either have to approach through the thick cover or chance them winding you. So I'm gonna try to find a way to circle around all that and try to intercept them between the bed and food source, which I think is over on a piece of private land. So that's probably the setup for this evening, and tomorrow maybe we'll get a chance to get a look at the buck and see what he is. The deer I pushed off, I couldn't tell if it was a buck or not. It's a pretty good sized body deer, but all I could see is his hind end going in the brush. So I got about another mile of scouting and then lunch, and then try to set up for the evening. So I've been scouting around this bedding area. I know there's some deer in the bed in there. There's a lot of sign rubs, and I even found a scrape between there and this kind of general area that's filtered towards private. But I also found there's an old road here that's hardly ever used anymore. So I got a good way to silently access it. It kind of circles around, so I should be able to avoid blowing my wind at them as I approach. That deer is running the edges in here in these kind of openings from that bed to private. What I gotta find is a good tree to access. So somebody left some trash. Get that picked up. Go see if we can find us a tree to get our deer out of.